Hello friends and welcome back. As you can see on the screen, we are going to cover GSuite Google Form in this lecture. And as you can see the list of topics, we are going to cover all the topics one by one and step by step. So let's get started. So friends, for starting with the Google Forms, first you need to be logged in with your Google account, and then from there you need to just go to the Google Apps menu, uh, and from there you can go there and scroll down a little bit, and you can see here Forms icon. So just opening, so for opening the Google Form, you have to click on the form icon. As soon as you click on the form icon, you will be redirected to the Google Form main page. From here, Google Form main page, you have options for creating either a new blank form and design as per your requirement, or you can go ahead and select any of the form available in the template gallery. So we are going to do both. We are going to use the template, and we are also going to create one custom form and see how the options works and what kind of options we have to select. All right, so let's go ahead and create a new form. So guys, for creating new form, you just need to click on the plus sign and a new form will be created for you. And here on this new form page, you can see it is asking for providing some name here. So I'm just going to type in my second Google form, and I'm just going to keep the title as the file name. If I want to change the title, I can go ahead and change the title as well. So I'm just going to leave it as it. Here we have options to feed in our questions. All right, so guys, as you can see here, untitled question is there. So I'm just going to so here I'm just going to write down any question that I'm interested to have answer from all my students or all my folks in the company. Whatsoever I need, I can just go ahead and type the questions. So for example, let's say if I'm in some university, I just want to run a survey of age group of the people. I can just go ahead and write your age group, and I can have options like 18 to 35 years. I can add another choice here, 36 to 45 years, and I can add another option like 46 to 55 years. Okay, so here we have given three choices for selecting, and this is just because we have selected the pattern of this question to be multiple choice. If you want to change this pattern to be any available pattern in this selection box, you can go ahead and choose any of them. So for this demo purpose, I'll go ahead with multiple choice a pattern. If you need it to be check boxes, if you need it to be drop down boxes, you can go ahead and do that. And one important thing I would just like to tell you guys that here the file upload functions works like, for example, let's say if you have to run kind of a survey to collect a photograph from every employee or every student, so you can choose this file upload option and say continue. All right, so here we are. So I just want to name it to something else. I want it to be upload your recent pic, and I want to allow any file type. So I'm not going to select this option to allow some specific file types. If you need to do that, you can just click on this radio button and you can select the file type you want to be allowed for uploading on this survey. And if you need something like maximum number of files restriction to be there, you can go ahead and select this as well. So people whoever are going to upload files, they would not be able to upload more than one file. And if you can set your restriction You can set the restriction related to maximum file size as well. So here I'm leaving it to 10 MB by default. If you want to change it to something else, you can go ahead and choose like 1 GB, 10 GB, whatever you need. And I'm going to make this option a required option, because I don't want anybody to skip this question. I want this question to be filled mandatorily, so I'm just going to mark it as required field. And not just this upload picture, if you need some additional questions to be added in this Google, you can just click on the plus sign and a new question box will be added to this. Now you can put in your question if you need, like your is group, and you can have the options that you are talking about, like 18 to 35 at 36 to 45, and another one 46 to 55. Right, so this is the multiple choice question we have added, and this one is file upload question pattern that we have added. If you need to add further question in this, you can go ahead and click on the plus sign and you can add further question in the survey. And I'm not going to mark this is group question as mandatory field. I'm okay even if someone is not interested to give this information, no problem at all. So I'll just leave it not required field, and we have marked this question as required field, and we have not restricted any specific file type to be uploaded. We will allow any file type to be uploaded here, and let's go ahead and send this survey. So I'm just going to send this survey now. Click on the send button, and as you can see guys, for sending the survey we have options to send via email or by creating URL, the sorter URL link. So you can send the survey using both the method. So if you need to send this survey using email method, you can just type the email address of the recipient here and you can click on the send button. But if you need this survey to be sent using this certain URL, you can just go ahead and create the URL here and copy this URL, and you can go ahead and compose an email and send it to the recipients that you have targeted. So I'll just type in, hey, please fill the survey, right? And I'll just paste in the survey URL here and I'll say send. Okay, now one important thing I would like to tell you here, that people whoever are going to fill the survey, you would not be able to see their email addresses because you haven't enabled this check mark. So if you are interested to collect the email addresses of the respondents, of course you should go ahead and enable check mark on this option. So I'll just enable check mark here and I'll just close this form. Okay. Now let's see how the forms appear for test user 2. So we have sent the survey from test user 1 to test 02, and we will wait for the form to arrive in test user 2's mailbox and we'll see how can we fill the survey. All right, so here we are. Here is the survey email we have received from test.user1. Let's open it up, click on the form URL, and the form will be opened. Now here on the form, as you can see, the form name is my second Google form, and we have selected two questions to be we have given two questions for these users to answer, and one is upload your recent pic, which is mandatory. You can see the star mark is there, and second one is non-mandatory, where we are asking for some age group information. So let's see, let's attach some file. Click on the add file button, and here you have choices to upload files using either your computer. You can locate to your computer, or you can browse your My Drive, or you can go ahead and select any of the previously selected file. So I'll just go ahead and select this previously selected file because I don't want to upload any picture from my computer. I have this in my previously selected directory, so I'll just select it from here and I'll click on select. the pic will be uploaded now. As you can see on the screen, the pic is uploaded, and here now we have to answer this question, your age group. So guys, as I told you, this is optional because we haven't marked is a required field. So if you want to answer this, you can go ahead and select any of the options. If you don't want to answer it, you can just leave it and submit the response. So what we are going to do is we are going to select any of the options here, and we are going to click on submit button. All right, the form has been submitted. So user 2 has submitted the form. To have one more record, we are going to ask this user 2 to also submit the form. So we will open this form with test user 1, and we will go ahead and upload file now from computer, and the file is uploaded now, and the file is selected here. Now we can go ahead and click on upload button. As soon as you click on upload button, the file will be uploaded. Great, so the file has been uploaded. Now I'll answer the question here, period 35 to 45, and click on submit. 46 to 45, and I'll click on submit. All right, so there have been two responses for this Google form. Now we will just go ahead and click the original form that we created. Okay, so here is the original form we created, and as an owner, test.user1 can go ahead and see the form, what responses he has received. So here, let's go to responses tab and see we have received two responses from test.user1 and from test.user2, and they have uploaded these two pics. And here is the graphical representation of the responses that we have received from the participants. All right, so you don't need to be worried about any graphical representation, because graphical representation is going to be automatically created, and you can just copy it from here using this option. If you're not happy with this graphical representation, then what you can do, you can export this response report in Google Spreadsheet. So let's click on this create spreadsheet using this Google form, and we will just click on create. If you want to change the file name, you can go ahead and change the file name. So I just want to leave it as it is, and I'm just going to create. So guys, as you can see on the screen, here are the responses recorded in Google Spreadsheet format. If you want to play around designing the graphical representation of the responses, you can go ahead and play around it. And if you want to kind of have some textual representation of the reports that we have received from Google form responses, you can go ahead and leave it as it is, and you can use that for your purpose. So this is so cool. You have all the details related with Google Forms. So there could be some situation, guys, where while creating the form, you may need someone to be kind of acting as a collaborator for this Google form. So what you can do in that case, you can simply go ahead and click on these three dots, and you can invite additional collaborators. They can have edit permission, and they can collaborate by giving their inputs, suggestions, or any modifications to this Google form. So let's say if I'll select here test.user2, I would just be having the option to give one permission level, that is can edit. There is no other permission level available here, right? So just select on can edit and say send, and done. So the additional collaborator can access this Google form and can modify questions, can add questions, can change the setting of the questions, and can see the responses and everything is there, right? So this is so cool. uh, Friends, there could be some situation where you may need to create the copy of the existing Google form, because sometime it happens that you sometime it happens that you need to run some report on quarterly basis or monthly basis, right? So for that, you are not supposed to go ahead and create the same form again and again and put in equal amount of effort every time. So Google Forms give you feasibility to go ahead and copy the form template, and it will be copied, straight away. You should not be worried about designing it again and drafting the questions again. It's not really required. To copying the form and creating a new form by copying the existing form, you can just go ahead and click on the three dots, and you can click on make a copy. As soon as you will click on make a copy of this form will be created. So I'll just leave the name as it is, copy of my second Google form, and I click on OK. So as you can see here, now another Google form has been created using the existing Google form, questions, design, and options that we had created manually, right? You can just go ahead and send this form to the you can go ahead and send this form to the users, and they can respond to this form. Also, just to verify, you can see the responses tab. There is no response at all in this form that you copied from the previous form, right? So as soon as you start sending this form to the participants, as soon as they start giving the feedback, the responses, then all the responses will get recorded here, and you will be able to see all the details like we were able to see for the original form that we created here, right? All right, friends. So friends, if in case you want to set some kind of restriction with the Google form, you can go ahead and click on the settings gear icon, and from there you can have some kind, settings visibility to restrict the form uses and restrict the responses limit and everything you can see here. So for example, let's see, if you want to collect email addresses, you can always checkbox you can always enable this checkbox to collect the email addresses of the respondents. And if you want to kind of restrict it to the mail educations and a trusted organization, you can have this enabled. Or if you don't want this to be restricted to mail education, you want this form to be sent to other than mail educations users, then you can remove this check mark and do that. uh, if you want this restriction of limit to one response to be applied on the Google Forms that you are sending, you can enable this check mark. If you don't want to do that, you can just leave it unchecked. Uh, and accordingly, you can play around these restrictions where you say edit after submit, see summary chart and text responses, maximum file size, and all this stuff. Presentation is the one you can play around this. One important part here on this page is that confirmation message. So if you remember, when we submitted the Google form, you can see here the default message is your response has been recorded, right? And this is just because the confirmation message, we haven't given anything manual here, right? It is just default on your response has been recorded. If you want to type your manual message here like thanks or something else, then you can go ahead and type it and save the changes. All right, so I'm not going to save any changes here. I'm going to click on cancel, and we are done. So friends, this is really a very handy tool, and this is how you create form, you design form, and you play around the data that you have collected using Google Form. Now I'll show you how to use the existing template and how you can modify and play around that. So let's go ahead and see that. So for that, guys, you need to be on the main page of Google Form. So I'll just click on this Google Form icon, and I'll move to my main page of the Google Form. And from here, you can see there are a couple of forms available in the Google Form template. All right, so I can go ahead and select any of the existing form like the one event feedback, or you can take any of them. So I'm just going to take event feedback, for example, here. Just let's click on it, and you can see the form is open now, which is taken from the template. You can modify the event feedback title whatsoever you need. My title, whatsoever is your title, you can just put in your title. You can play around the questions that we just discussed about. If you want this field to be mandatory, you can just leave it as it is. If you don't want this field to be mandatory, you can just turn off the radio button here. And if you want this to be linear scale, you can just leave it like that. If you want this to be multiple choice, you can play around and you can select any options that are available here, right? And this is how you can use the template of the Google Forms. If you don't want to design and kind of draft your questions and answers for that, you can just go ahead and choose any of the existing template, and you can modify a little bit around the questions and the options that are there, and you are done. All right, so guys, this was all about the Google Form. See you in the next video. So friends, hope this was informative for you and you enjoyed watching this tutorial. Please write down in the comment box if you have any questions, suggestion or new content request. And please don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video to help us and help others. See you again in the next video. Till the time, happy learning.